On this edition of Marne Forward, we'll have the latest on Operation Crazy Horse, take you to meet soldiers preparing for an air assault, and to a contest that just might help discover the best singer on Forward Operating Base Kalsu. All this and more coming up. Of the Marne Fort. I'm Specialist Rebecka Reyes reporting from Baghdad. Here's this week's Marne News Minute. Sons of Iraq and Saban Nassan led soldiers from Alpha Battery, 1st Battalion, 10th Field Artillery to a weapons cache buried at a remote location outside Fursan, a small farming community near Fob Hammer, March 8th. The cache contained a rocket, 3 mortar fuses, 1 130mm artillery round, 81 rocket-propelled grenade mortars, and 3 rocket-propelled grenades. Iraqi Army and coalition forces conducted a 2-day cordon and search operation March 7th and 8th in Al-Lej, Iraq. The operation resulted in the death of 2 extremists, discovery of 4 improvised explosive devices and 1 weapons cache, and destruction of 2 buildings that were used to store ammunition and explosives. Construction of Patrol Base Vanderhorn began in early March near Ysifiyah, a region formerly controlled by insurgents. Once completed, the patrol base will be home to companies from 1st Battalion, 187th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne Division, Air Assault. For most of us in the 3rd Infantry Division, our deployment in Iraq is closer to the end than the beginning. Command Sergeant Major Mark Thornton says that we want to make sure we're running to the finish line and doing the right things.
Making sure that they're staying focused, looking at them and making sure you get that eye-to-eye, yeah, you are paying attention to all the things I need you to watch. Using the pre-combat checks, pre-combat inspections. The reason we established those things in the first place was to make sure we weren't forgetting mission-critical items. Well, refocus on that, Force the members of your squads, sections, platoons, to actually walk through those pre-combat checks.
And that's your Marne News Minute. Many here called it the torture house because of what happened inside of it. On March 10th, Air Force bombers dropped 6 500-pound bombs on this former Al-Qaeda stronghold in Zambrania, Iraq. But before they did, soldiers from the 6th Squadron, 8th Cavalry Regiment, invited the village's leaders to the former Al-Qaeda compound. Together, Iraqis and Americans witnessed the destruction of a house where torture is no more. Army Sergeant Jay Townsend has the story.
I'm very happy to be with you today as we remove the last remnants of Al-Qaeda.
Soldiers and citizens here have got front row seats to what the locals are calling a day to remember. The former Al-Qaeda headquarters / torture chamber is about to become a thing of the past. Abu Muhammad was held prisoner here for 15 days and witnessed a 13-year-old boy's execution. Captain O'Brien and his troops were alerted to the house by the local Sons of Iraq group while on a routine foot patrol.
Yeah, all the SOIs say that this was the torture house. It was a former Shia residence that at some point was taken over by AQI.
Specialist Daniel Murray was one of the first to enter the house and said it didn't take him long to realize that terrible things had happened here.
I initially thought that's where they brought the people, and they hooked them up and kept them there, and whether or not they beat them or interrogated them through questioning or whatnot by having them handcuffed. But the most common sense thing would be to have them get handcuffed up to the bars.
Insurgents used torture manuals with instructions on how to get information from their prisoners. Hostages were chained to steel grates and wire bed frames when they weren't being persecuted for not following Al-Qaeda ideology. Lieutenant Colonel Mark Solomon and his men are about to send a message to the remaining insurgents in the area. The message is simple. This type of behavior is no longer tolerated.
Today what we're going to do is the house behind me here was discovered a couple of days ago and clearly was used by Al-Qaeda to hold people and as a base of operations. And so today we're going to use an airstrike to destroy this house and cleanse the area once and for all of Al-Qaeda.
According to Lieutenant Colonel Solomon, this day is therapeutic for the locals, especially the former prisoners. The once feared torture house is now a giant crater that will remind the citizens of Zambrania that they stood up to an al-Qaeda regime, and with the help of coalition forces, they won. Reporting from southern Baghdad in Iraq, I'm Army Sergeant Jay Townsend.
Before the Black Hawk helicopters take off and the battle begins, Baker Company soldiers are there to prepare for the late-night mission ahead. Specialist Joseph Rebecka gives us a behind-the-scenes look at preparations for an air assault.
It will be dark, loud, and the real deal when Black Hawk helicopters land on Combat Outpost Carver. Soldiers about to fly to an objective need to know what their mission is and what needs to be done. Baker Company, 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment soldiers are preparing for an air assault mission. On the terrain model, which they call the sand tables, platoon leaders and sergeants rehearse movements to and from their objectives. Leaders like 1st Sergeant Arvento Collins want their soldiers to understand the mission and to always know what their role is.
That way each and every soldier, no matter what their rank is, has some type of sense of what the concept of the operation is. Because anytime you're on those type of mission, you could take a casual or something, so the next guy may have to step up.
Recreating their battle space out of engineer tape and boxes, leaders go step by step through the plan, giving their soldiers a visual of what will happen in the middle of the night. Each soldier will know what their responsibilities are and who should be to his left and right.
It's very important that each soldier understand the whole concept of the operation, from all the way loading up the aircraft to unloading the aircraft until, the operation intent.
Baker Company has conducted several air assaults since deploying to Iraq, each time proving that there is nowhere extremists can hide from coalition forces. Reporting from Combat Outpost Carver, Iraq, I'm Specialist Joseph Rebecka.
After a break, we'll give you a closer look at a time-honored field artillery tradition. Stay with us.